the near future is going to be another issue, like the Kurds, for instance, are in the Middle East, because there is a state of Albania. There is a Kosovo, which is 2 million Albanians. There is a big part of Macedonia, which is also the western part of Macedonia, close to Albania. And there are Albanians in Greece, which of course Greece doesn't recognize at all. All these areas where Albanians are populated are contiguous. And they speak the same language. They have never been one country. They were divided between these neighbors, but nobody knows how to approach that and what to do with it. They are very poor, underdeveloped, but they are different. They are the old population of that part of the world. All the others, we came much later, and they will have to be dealt with. Now, when I told you what the situation is now, I was also telling you what will happen tomorrow. Yugoslavia will not reunite. That's one thing. Everybody wants to get into the European Union. So maybe in the not so distant future, hopefully, we'll be united in the European Union when we couldn't get in all together, and Yugoslavia then was in the forefront of the potential candidates to the European Union. It will take a long time to overcome the scars of the carnage that, which was a revival to a great extent of the one from 1941 to 45, when, as I told you, the Ustaša started killing the Serbs, but the Serbs also killed the Muslims in enormous numbers in the same places that we heard a few years ago: Srebrenica, Foča, Goražde, and so on, all along the Drina River. So the explosion of this was very much a consequence also of the 4 bloody wars during the Second World War, which was to a great extent also a civil war, because there were people working with the occupiers and for the occupiers. So if after 50 years it exploded, hopefully it will not explode, but it will take a long time. In the collective memory of the Bosnian Muslims today, it is very present that crimes were committed against them because of that, and they have been pushed into a ghetto, actually. The only thing which they have in common today is Islam. And one piece of territory with Sarajevo in the middle. Whether that will be a viable state, I still don't know. Whether Macedonia will be a viable state. Kamal asked me what would have happened, why if Tito could do it, nobody is trying to do it anymore. It's he didn't hold it single-handedly, and there were huge problems while he was there already, which only erupted later on. It's in my opinion, the main problem was the one-party system, which actually blocks democratic processes. There was, one bureaucratically strong, centralized decision-making which infiltrated all the pores of life and blocked natural selection of leaders, the flow of ideas, the innovations, and it brought to great tensions between the more and less developed republics, the economically more innovative, and those who wanted to be supported all the time, and that is the reason. Unfortunately, the force which initiated the second Yugoslavia was in the basis of its doom. And I will stop here, if I may.
The ambassador has agreed to take a few questions, so we'd be happy for that. And invite anybody to raise their hand who might have a question.
There was a writer, I don't remember his name, who was very good, it was excellent.
And the Nobel Prize winner?
Yes, Nobel Prize.
Ivo Andrić.
Yes.
Yeah. He is a typical example. He is a Croat from Bosnia who was actually a Serbian writer. And he was writing about Bosnia and mainly about Muslims. And his biggest best-known book is The Bridge on the Drina, which was a bridge built by the Ottoman Empire, a beautiful old bridge.
Other questions? Yes.
We've seen what happened in Yugoslavia and Somalia and Afghanistan and Iraq. What do you think is going to happen to Cuba when Fidel dies?
Yeah. You know, in the 70s, I was convinced that Yugoslavia would not fall apart when Tito dies. And I was convinced that Cuba would explode when Castro dies. I am not convinced anymore. Castro did, in spite of everything that we know and read about it, he did good things for Cubans. In basic education, in infrastructure, in the rights of women, in medical care. It will have to adjust. It will have to, and there will be problems. And there is an emigration which will play a part in that. But Cuba will not go to pieces. That's for sure.
Questions?
Sir, we have all heard a great deal about the problems that Yugoslavia has experienced since the 90s. Could you tell us, we all know that Yugoslavia was very prominent in the world during Tito's time, but could you tell us something about the problems during Tito's time and some of the causes for those problems? You mentioned that there were problems, but could you give us some specific details, please? Say from 1950 to 1980.
1950, the first problem was after the separation with the Soviet Union. There was a danger. Stalin actually expelled Tito, convinced that he would fall. That the authority of Stalin was so big that one had to deal with those who were probably or supporting the Stalin's approach. That was the first problem, which where also types of gulags were created for those people in Yugoslavia. It was a very, very tragic period. And then in the 60s there was the first economic crisis and the try to start an economic reform to modernize things, which was initiated by the leadership, by the party people. But you know, when you start to let the economy loose, then you lose political power over it. So they stopped it after some time themselves. Then in the late 60s and until 71, there was a strong movement in Croatia, which was called Croatian Spring, which was for a modernization